In the final video of my series on the Aerosoft A320-321 Extended for FSX, I am going to take an A321 in British Airways livery from Manchester to Cardiff Airport. So we will be returning to the airport from where I started undertaking my tutorial videos. Cardiff Airport has a British Airways airframe maintenance facility, and I'm going to assume that this particular aircraft has reached a time in its life when it needs a major overhaul and check of its airframe. So we shall be undertaking a shuttle flight to allow the aircraft to be serviced and maintained at Cardiff. Now, it is a very nice sunny afternoon here in Manchester with just a few scattered clouds about. And it is in this type of weather that most of my tutorial flights have been undertaken. I have been concentrating on basically flying the aircraft and understanding its systems and controls, and did not really want to be bothered with all of the problems that bad weather can cause. This, of course, is not what happens in the real world. And so for this particular flight, I am going to set the weather so that we have very low cloud, completely overcast layers of cloud, and very low visibility. That will mean that we will have to rely entirely on our knowledge and understanding of the MCDU autopilot and mapping system on board this A321. Now, for the system to operate correctly, I am going to need to program the MCDU with my intended flight, and then put the same flight into the FSX flight planner system. This will allow the air traffic control system to then know my intended route and give me instructions as required to undertake that route. However, the FSX ATC system does not always follow the actual programmed route. It sometimes wants to take you off your desired route and reroute you to intercept another point along the way, particularly for the final ILS. Now, if that occurs, it is very important that we are familiar with both the automatic MCDU system and the manually input autopilot system, because at time or times throughout this flight, ATC may require us to adjust our intended route. I am not going to go into specific details on how to enter or create this route. I am going to assume that in the previous videos that has been explained sufficiently well. But to recap, I am going to input a route from Manchester to Cardiff via one or two waypoints, and I am going to put the same route into the FSX flight planner system so that both routes are identical. The aircraft also, of course, needs to be fueled using the A320-321 fuel system that comes with this program, and I need sufficient fuel for the flight to be undertaken, allowing for holes, taxiing and any diversions. The MCDU flight plan will contain a desired arrival runway, and the chances are going to be very high that that is the runway that I will arrive at. However, if for any reason ATC directs me to a different runway, then I will have to modify the arrival runway in the MCDU. I have not covered how to do that in any of the previous tutorials, but it is a simple matter of selecting your arrival airport, reselecting the arrival runway and entering it as the new desired runway. The MCDU will then do all the necessary calculations for you. So it is now time to program the MCDU and the FSX flight planner with our required flight plan, and I will position the aircraft on the runway ready for takeoff, having completed the engine startup procedure, the pushback and the taxi through the aprons to our required runway for our flight to Cardiff and its servicing facility. Enjoy the flight. Okay, so I am now on 05 right, though the MCDU in this Airbus thinks it's 06 right. So there is a slight discrepancy between the FSX runway setting and the MCDU, but we won't worry too much about that.
06 right, on runway 06 right.
Air traffic control has given me an initial clearance to 12,000 feet, which I've put into the MCDU, though my cruise altitude I wish to be 16,000 feet. I've set my flaps to 2, which I'm going to do now. Flaps are set to 2, and I'm ready for my takeoff. I've put an additional view up here as an extra view of the outside view locked spot, so we can watch both the aircraft in the flight as well as our main control, which I will maintain in this throughout the flight. I will now request takeoff clearance. I'm hoping that I don't get too jumpy a picture because of the frame rate with all the various things that I've got going on at the moment.
Manchester Tower, Airbus Golf Echo Uniform X-ray Golf
on runway 06 right, on runway 06 right,
Golf, clear for takeoff, runway 5 right.
So I have clearance for takeoff, acknowledge that.
Clear for takeoff, runway 5 right, Airbus Golf Echo Uniform X-ray Golf.
My routing is displayed here. You can see that I need to take off and eventually turn. I cannot turn now until air traffic control tells me to do that. So I'm going to take off and maintain a straight ahead direction initially.
On runway 06 right, on runway
Throttles
06 right.
Forward. And I'm on my takeoff run. I have 3 layers of clouds set, so we should very shortly be in very murky conditions. Rotate. Positive rate of climb, gear up. Flaps.
Airbus Uniform X-ray Golf, contact Manchester departure on 119.4.
Reduce throttle to the CL position, fully retract flaps. Throttle is now in throttle climb position.
My last transmission. 119.4 for Airbus Uniform X-ray Golf.
being handed over to Manchester departure, contact departure.
Manchester departure, Airbus Golf Echo Uniform X-ray Golf is climbing through 2,600 for 12,000.
Airbus Golf Echo Uniform X-ray Golf, Manchester departure, Roger, USC 1013.
Calculated speed here should level off. Not sorry, level off, should reduce speed. Proceed on course and maintain 12,000. If I wish to maintain my course, I can use the autopilot, which will now follow my predetermined course. Acknowledge that instruction.
Turn right heading 205.
Aircraft is now turning.
Maintain 12,000. Airbus Uniform X-ray Golf.
Very difficult to know what is happening because of the cloud. We have to now rely entirely on the instruments.
Contact Manchester Center on 118.775. Golf Echo Hotel Sierra Quebec Manchester approach, Roger, 1013.
Acknowledge handoff.
118.775. Airbus Uniform X-ray Golf.
Tune Manchester Centre. Breaking through the cloud. Contact Manchester Centre.
Airbus Golf Echo Uniform X-ray Golf is at 900,000.
Set standard air pressure.
Airbus Golf Echo Uniform X-ray Golf, Manchester.
Speed is going to hold at around 250.
1013. Airbus Uniform X-ray Golf, turn right heading 230.
Air traffic wants me to turn to 230, but if I look at my routing, that is almost the heading that I want. I'm heading towards 230 at the moment to intercept my desired course, so I will not change any setting at the moment. It will pick up my desired heading. If I want to change that course, right click the button, dial in 230. Aircraft is now turning to 230 and it is levelling off at 12,000 feet.
Airbus Uniform X-ray Golf, climb and maintain 16,000.
I've now been told to climb to 16,000 feet. Dial in 16,000. Right click rate of climb and dial in the rate of climb. I will make it 1,800 feet. Acknowledge the instruction.
Climb and maintain 16,000. Airbus Uniform X-ray Golf.
Aircraft is now climbing to 16,000 feet at 1,800 feet per minute. Passing through 12,700. I now have lost all contact with the ground. I have no visual contact to establish where I am.
Airbus Uniform X-ray Golf, turn left heading 210, resume all navigation.
It's now telling me to turn to 210, which I can do manually. But if I then left click the heading button, it will pick up its predetermined route again. Acknowledge instruction.
Turn left heading 210, resume all navigation.
I'm now going to monitor this heading so that I know that it is what I wish it to be. The dotted line here is where I need to be, 210. Turning the aircraft manually back to 210. Passing through 14,900 feet. Now skimming across the top of the cloud layer. Speed is being held at about 280 knots. Just coming up to 16,000 feet, my cruise altitude. Speed is being held, altitude is being held, heading is being held. Now with various views here and all of this cloud layer, the frame rate is dropping at times to quite slow numbers, down to 10 and 12 frames per second. Picture may be a little jumpy at times, I apologise for that. Now 16 miles from SWB. Now we are established in the cruise, time to check everything out. So I'm at 16,000 feet, heading is held, I'm at cruise altitude, speed is being held, I'm travelling at around 280 knots. Heading confirmed at 210, altitude 16,000. Speed being monitored by the MCDU. We can now continue along this path. The next thing that should happen is that I pass the SWB point and I will be told to head to my next point, or I can select the auto heading and the system should take me there automatically. I'm now going to left click the heading button so that it is back in lateral control by the MCDU. I should now reach SWB and automatically turn slightly left towards BCN. Autopilot 1 is set, auto throttle is set. Skimming across the top of the cloud layer at 16,000 feet.
Climb and maintain flight level 210, Surge 410.
Left heading 135, resume on navigation.
Just coming up to the SWB VOR. Should make a very gentle turn to the left very shortly.
Descend and maintain 12,000. Report to Yankee Echo Papa.
Jersey 1435, traffic is 1 o'clock, 4 miles, at flight level 210, appointment site. H0 Whiskey, traffic is 8 o'clock, 4 miles, at 12,000, Cessna Skyhawk, appointment site. Jersey 1435, turn left heading 180, resume all navigation, descend and maintain 16,000.
If I zoom in by altering the range, you can see that I'm slightly off course for SWB, so the aircraft will continue in a straight line until it intercepts my desired course. The error was due to my altering this manually earlier.
Jersey 676, have it in sight.
4506, traffic is 4 o'clock, 4 miles, at flight level 220, Bombardier, appointment site. Jersey 1435, you are 80 miles north, turn left heading 155, expect vectors ILM, runway 30, approach, Jersey 676.
Now I have actually past SWB and this is showing me that it's 6 miles behind me. Because I haven't actually crossed the actual VOR, it will give it to me as a distance past. What I could do is go back into the MCDU and delete the SWB point. which means that it will continue directly to BCN. It's only a matter of pressing the clear button, entering it against SWB, and the route will be modified. I don't want to change the view in my system here at the moment. We'll just watch this, and if necessary I can adjust the heading manually to follow my green line. We'll give it a little while to see if it turns, failing which I need to turn to a heading of 203, something like that, to pick the route up. So I am going to, sorry that I need to, an assigned approach here, sorry.
Heading 155, expect vectors ILS, runway 30, approach, Airbus, uniform, X-ray, Golf.
Okay, it has given me vectors to ILS runway 30 at Cardiff, but it has taken me off my route now to a new heading of 155. So I need to right click the heading, dial in 155,
Airbus, uniform, X-ray, Golf. Please expedite your turn to heading 155.
it's telling me to turn to that heading, which I have now done, maintaining 16,000 feet at this time. So it's now taking me off my predetermined route. I can click various views here as we've done before, and ranges. That will clarify my position. It will show me all the surrounding airports and so on should I wish to do so. I'll maintain it in arc on a 40-mile radius at the moment.
Runway 1, approach 6552. You are 6 miles southwest, turn right heading 090. Expect vectors ILS, runway 9er, approach. Turn right heading 090. Expect vectors ILS, runway 9er, approach 6552.
Now I put runway 30 in as my selected runway for Cardiff, so I don't need to alter anything on that. The ILS radio frequency will be already programmed into the MCDU. What the ATC system has done is turn me off my route towards Brecon, and it's going to take me into Cardiff via a different route. I have to follow that route, not what I wanted to do. Still at 16,000 feet.
Turn right heading 180.
Turn right, heading 180, Jersey 676.
Speed still 280.
Jersey 1435. Turn right heading 180. 6552. Descend and maintain 2000. Descend and maintain 2000. 6552. H68 Whiskey Truck. Traffic is 9 o'clock, 3 miles at 12,900. Airbus A320. Appointed at Airbus uniform X-ray Golf. Turn right heading 180.
I have a new instruction to turn right to 180. Knowledge instruction.
Have the Airbus A319 in sight.
Turn right, heading 180.
Dial in 180.
Airbus, uniform, X-ray, Golf.
Turn right heading 180. Jersey 1435. Airbus uniform X-ray Golf. Traffic is 2 o'clock, 3 miles at flight level 180. HD American appointed in sight. Airbus uniform X-ray Golf. Descend and maintain 7,000.
I've been now told to descend to 7,000. Acknowledge that instruction.
Airbus,
Dial
uniform,
in
X-ray, Golf.
7,000. Right click change of altitude and set a minus figure. 1800 feet. Descent rate 1800 feet per minute. Engines are throttling back, and I'm now in a descent towards 7,000 feet.
Manchester Center, East North Hotel Tango Lima Echo is at 9,800, climbing 14,000.
Here is the waypoint that I was aiming at, Brecon, but air traffic control is taking me around. It's going to take me over the Bristol Channel to the Somerset coast, turn around and come back into Cardiff. Now descending towards the cloud layer, and I have a turning to 215.
Turn right heading 215, Airbus Uniform X-Ray Golf. Jersey 384.
215 set.
1 mile at flight level 260. Lombard gate reported in sight. Cessna Sierra Romeo Mike. Traffic is 4 o'clock, 4 miles at 1,200. Each errand reported in sight. Cessna Sierra Romeo Mike. Traffic in sight. Airbus Uniform X-Ray Golf. Turn left heading 185.
New heading to 185.
Turn left heading 185. Airbus Uniform X-Ray Golf.
This is a little bit of a quirk with the ATC system in FSX. It does sometimes zigzag you into the final approach. Descending through 12,500 feet.
Contact Hilton approach on 122.725. Going to 122.725, Jersey 1435. Airbus Uniform X-Ray Golf. Contact Gloucester approach on 128.55.
Contact Gloucester.
Going to 128.55. Airbus Uniform X-Ray Golf.
Tune Gloucester. And contact Gloucester.
Gloucester approach. Airbus Golf Echo Uniform X-Ray Golf is at 10,800 for 7,000. Airbus Golf Echo Uniform X-Ray Golf. Gloucester approach. Roger. UNH 1013. Airbus Uniform X-Ray Golf. Contact Hilton approach on 122.725.
Contact Filton.
122.725 for Airbus Uniform X-Ray Golf. Filton approach. Airbus Golf Echo Uniform X-Ray Golf is at 9,700, descending 7,000. Airbus Golf Echo Uniform X-Ray Golf. Filton approach. Roger. UNH 1013.
1013 air pressure. This is my original route plan from BCN, the MCDU. The MCDU would plan this approach. You can see that I am going to be turned into that approach.
Turn left heading 150. Airbus Uniform X-Ray Golf.
Turn left 150. Still descending, passing through 7,900 feet.
Airbus Uniform X-Ray Golf. Turn right heading 180. Turn right heading 180. Airbus
back to 180.
Hilton approach, Jersey 1435 is out of 10,600 for 5,000.
Jersey 1435, Hilton approach, roger, UNH 1013.
Cardiff Airport is now to my right, it's slightly ahead of me. Because I am now out of the MCDU control, I'm going to right click the speed and reduce my speed to below 250. I shall dial in 245. Reduce my speed, I'm now down to 7,000 feet. Speed here, 245.
Jersey 1435, turn left heading 145.
Again, I could look down now at the MCDU and look at my calculated speeds as I make my approach. I don't want to change the view at the moment, so I will do it from basically experience of this aircraft now. My landing speed will be at around about 130, 135 knots, and I will have to reduce my speed to that as I increase my flaps. If I look at the MCDU data, it will give me those calculated speeds, but I want to maintain this particular view at the moment. So 7,000 feet.
Bombardier Delta Bravo Lima, contact Cardiff, approach on
245 knots. Clean flaps still.
5.85, Bombardier Delta Bravo Lima.
Cardiff Airport now to my right.
Turn left heading 175.
Acknowledge, change the direction to 175.
Airbus Uniform X-Ray Golf. Airbus Uniform X-Ray Golf. Turn right heading 205.
Acknowledge, turn to 205.
Airbus Uniform X-Ray Golf. Airbus Uniform X-Ray Golf. Descend and maintain 2,200. Jersey 676. Descend and maintain 2,200.
Descend to 2,200.
2,200. Jersey 676.
1,800 feet per minute descent. Acknowledge that instruction.
Descend and maintain 2,200.
Reduce my speed.
Airbus Uniform X-Ray Golf.
I'm coming down now to 200 knots. Cardiff is now just to my right. I still have no visual contact with the ground. I can, however, now switch to LS and ILS. Here is my ILS bar, and as I get closer to the airport I will intercept that localizer. I switch back to arc, I can see where the runway is. I'm going to intercept it in a straight line here. I will probably be told to turn to my right shortly to intercept that at a shallower angle. But it is good to keep a visual reference on where you need to be.
Jersey 1435, turn right heading 210.
Passing through 4,600.
210, Jersey 1435. Hilton approach, Piper Golf Lima Tango Whiskey Echo with you.
Piper Golf Lima Tango Whiskey Echo, Hilton approach, roger, UNH 1013. Bombardier, Oscar Kilo Zulu Sierra.
3,800 feet.
0,500, descending 6,000. Airbus Uniform X-ray Golf, you are 23 miles east, turn right, heading 270, descend and maintain 2,200, cleared ILS, runway 30, approach, maintain 2,200 until established on the localizer. Contact Cardiff Tower on 133.1, Bombardier, Oscar Kilo
Turn
Zulu
to
Sierra Golf,
270.
approach, Roger, UNH 1013.
Acknowledge that instruction.
Turn right heading
Reduce my speed.
Descend and maintain 2,200. Cleared ILS. Runway 30. Approach. Maintain
I hope the
2,200 until established.
visual approach remains smooth. It may get a little jittery because of all the things that are going on. Switch to ILS.
Turn right heading 210. Jersey 1435.
Select localizer.
Maintain 2,200.
The glide slope is also visible now, so I'm watching both the glide slope and the glide slope here and the localizer.
10, Jersey 676. Jersey 1435, you are 20 miles east, turn right heading 270, descend and maintain 2,200, cleared ILS, runway 30, approach, maintain 2,200 until established on the localizer. Contact Cardiff Tower on 133.1.
To Cardiff Tower, contact them.
Cardiff Tower, Airbus Golf Echo Uniform.
Give them my
X-ray
position.
Golf is 19 miles east, inbound ILS, runway 30, approach. Airbus Golf Echo Uniform X-ray Golf, Cardiff Tower, make straight in, runway 30, UNH 1013.
I have clearance for a straight in approach.
Runway 30, Airbus Uniform X-ray Golf.
Watching the localizer bars here. Glide slope diamond here. .175 knots. Going to set 1 degree of flaps. And reduce my speed to 170. Now we are making here virtually a blind landing. We have to have complete confidence in this main instrument showing me my direction. If I want to confirm where I am, if I go back to ARC, I can see my position. If I increase the scale, here is Cardiff, it's just ahead of me and to my right. You can see that it is turning. That is because the localizer has been captured and it is now following the localizer.
Jersey 6983 cleared for takeoff. Runway 30.
Should an aircraft be on the runway and should air traffic control tell me to make a go around, I'm going to ignore it purely for the purpose of this particular video. If I was told to do that, then you should make the go around and go into the hole as I've discussed in earlier videos. Hopefully we will have a clear landing with nothing on the runway. The localizer is now more or less centralized. Again, if I switch back to ARC, I can now see the airport right in front of me.
Jersey 1435, Cardiff Tower.
All I need now is to follow the glide slope. I will shortly intercept the glide slope and the diamond will begin to descend.
Cardiff Tower 4646, ready for IFR departure, runway 30.
4646, hold short, runway 30, traffic is soft on the runway 4646.
Diamond is now beginning to move down. Now I know that that has been captured and the localizer has been captured. I can select approach. This confirms that I am on a category 3 landing on a single autopilot. However, I can now switch the second autopilot on in view of the weather being so bad. I've now got category 3 dual autopilot landing. I've now captured the glide slope, gear down. Reduce speed to 160.
4646 cleared for takeoff. Runway 30. Airbus Uniform X-ray Golf cleared to land. Runway 30. Follow Bombardier on final.
We have been cleared for landing, but there is an aircraft in front of us. If that is in the way, I'm going to ignore it. Right, I'm going to reduce speed. You can see the runway directly ahead of me now. 135, flaps 2.
Cardiff Tower.
Here is the runway.
7 miles southeast. Inbound ILS. Runway 30. Approach. Jersey 676.
Flaps 3.
Take straight in. Runway 30.
Auto brakes minimum.
1013. Fly straight in. Runway 30. Jersey 676. Jersey 676 cleared to land. Runway 30.
Flaps full.
Number 2 for landing. Followed Airbus on final. Cleared to land. Runway 30. Number 2.
I'm only showing 12 frames per second. It may be a little bit of a jittery landing. I apologise for that. Aircraft here, I'm going to ignore them as I say if it interferes with this particular landing.
Approaching 30.
Confirmation that I'm on runway 30. 136 knots. Full flaps. Now showing 10 to 11 frames per second. It may be a little bit jumpy. Listen to the callouts, follow the instructions.
Airbus Uniform X-ray Golf, go around.
I've been told to go around, but I'm going to ignore that as I've just explained. Throttle back.
Jersey 1435, turn next taxiway.
Touchdown. Reverse thrust. Sorry about the aircraft in front of me. Engines to idle.
Meters remaining.
Airbus Uniform X-ray Golf, acknowledge last transmission. 5, Jersey 1435, turn next taxiway. Jersey 676, go around. Jersey 1435, contact ground on
I'm sorry about the aircraft on the runway, just one of those things, and because I was trying to make the video, I wanted to ignore it just to make the landing. I will now get rid of the extra view and we will taxi to the British Airways maintenance. And we'll just make our way to the maintenance area, retracting flaps as we go. I sincerely hope that that explains the principle of flying with the ATC. It isn't a perfect system, but it does give it a little bit more realism, I feel. And once again, I would like to emphasise that I am not qualified in this at all, and any technical data I give is purely for the use with FSX. I cannot guarantee that any of it is correct. It's purely for enjoyment with the flight simulator. I find that every time I fly an aircraft in this, I learn something different. I sincerely hope all of you who've watched these series of now 20 videos have found them useful, and I hope that you can enjoy both FSX and this wonderful A320, 321 aircraft from Aerosoft as much as I do. It's been absolutely wonderful learning how to do this and create all these videos. So, thanks for watching, everybody. Now, I don't know about you, but I find there is something very rewarding about completing a flight and making a successful and virtually perfect landing. It's even better when that flight has been through all that murk and gloom and you find your intended runway and make what, to all intents and purposes, is the perfect landing. So, I hope you don't mind just watching the replay of that landing, and we will then look at the view from the control tower of the same landing, and you can see just how gloomy it was. So once again, thanks for watching these series of videos. Hope you've enjoyed them as much as I have enjoyed making them, and I wish you all many hours of happy and successful flying with FSX and the A320, 321 series of aircraft from Aerosoft. Happy flying and safe landings.